An open letter to Tim Kiskus. Hi Tim, I hope all is well. I know you watch these videos because we have mutual friends. So let me get right to it. I've been hypercritical of pretty much everything Dodge has done, Stellantis, but Dodge has done over the last few years, and for good reason, because a lot of it has been really bad and really silly. One of my favorite pastimes is going to the Dodge Charger EV owners group on Facebook and reading the fiasco after fiasco after fiasco. These people, the people who buy these cars, they're like moths drawn to an acetylene torch, right? It's just the craziest thing. I get the biggest kick out of it. Hopefully you'll get those bugs worked out. But let me get right to the point. I did not attend the Roadkill Nights preview of the 2026 products. You wouldn't have wanted me there anyway. But I did watch, I did catch up on everything. The usual channels that I follow, TK's Garage and OC Motivator, when I need a dose of modern, what's going on in the world of modern Mopars. So, you seem to be heading off in the right direction. Yes, the Hemi is back, and that's good. Everybody kind of expected the Hemi to come back anyway, because you guys were lost without it. But it's back. And it's in the Durango, and it's in the trucks, and the Hemi packages, very good, good, good. And now the Hurricane is in the Charger, which is good. It should have been first. You should have put the Hurricane in the Charger first, and then the EV, but you probably had nothing to do with that. So with any luck, the new Hurricane engine will, it's not new, but the Hurricane engine new in the Charger will maybe turn the car around a little bit. I don't have much hope for it. I'm optimistic, but I don't really have much hope for it because, after all, it's a twin turbocharged 3-liter engine in a 4,800-pound car, 4,800 pounds. Stick a driver in there and you're over 5,000 pounds. That's a lot. For that thing to push a car down into the 12-second zone, the bottom 12-second zone, man, that thing is breathing heavy. It's working hard. So, 30 pounds of boost only, well, okay, let's not even talk about that. Things seem to be heading off in the right direction. But as I'm watching the show, the preview, I saw that you guys had, during the talking part of it, you had these two Chargers sitting there in the background, and then at the end, to kind of like punctuate what was going on, like, performance is back, internal combustion is back. They started doing donuts, and they were sad, wheezy donuts. Oh man, it was pathetic.
Yeah.
Just stop this now. Yeah, I know. It makes 500 some odd horsepower, but it's got to be spun up to make that kind of power. It doesn't have the grunt of a V8 to actually do an impressive donut. But why are you focusing on donuts? Why? You realize the people who are impressed by these things, the people you're appealing to with the donut ability, they don't buy these damn cars. They steal them. All right. So how can I offer constructive criticism? Because that's what I want to do. I want to offer constructive criticism. You guys have really gone to places that I can't even, the fratsonic chamber. There are things that I can't even conceive of. But, again, I'm not optimistic, but I'm hopeful. So maybe throw a couple suggestions out there. Maybe something sinks in. I don't know. Or maybe I'm just lost and irrelevant, part of the past, one of the dinosaurs, from the old days. But then again, it's my demographic that actually has to scratch to buy these cars. Think about that. So here's the main difference between the old Chrysler Corporation, Mopar, Glory Days Mopar, where all of the names and images and colors and ideas come from, and what you guys are currently doing. So if you go back to the glory days of Mopar, each of the packages, the models, each of the packages that were produced back then were targeted at a specific form of competition. This is really important. Like, there has to be a goal. So early on during the Chrysler muscle car era, they did a study, and I'm just paraphrasing it. I'm just going to paraphrase. I don't remember the exact names or dates of the people involved in it, but this is what they came up with, okay? And it was a pyramid, right? The pyramid of performance. So what they determined back then was that at the very top of the pyramid, you had the professional racer, the guy that was in the magazines, the guy that you'd see on TV, the name, right? And he was at the very top. Now, underneath him, you had the hardcore local racers, the local guys who were known to have the fastest cars, to win, these were the guys that owned speed shops and stuff like that. And they were very well respected within their local hot rod muscle car community. Then on the rung underneath them, you have the hardcore enthusiast. And these were the guys that emulated the first two. And they were generally capable. These were the guys that if you needed, help getting your carburetor jetted or tuned, or, what pressure to run in your tires, what tire pressure to run. Well, these were the guys who did that. And they were hardcore, but not professional or serious enthusiasts. That's the third rung, okay? And then at the fourth rung, at the bottom, you have just the average guy, and he looks up the pyramid to choose what kind of car to buy. So this is how Chrysler, this was how they marketed their stuff back in the 60s and the 70s. Plymouth, you had Ronnie Sox as the guy at the top. Dodge had Dick Landy as the guy at the top. And they road tested the cars, and they gave performance clinics and so on and so forth. It was, okay, we know what we're talking about, right? Now the packages, the car packages, going all the way back to the very beginning of the 1960s, all of the car packages were focused on a specific type of competition and dominating that type of competition. So early on, you have the Hyper Pack 170 and 225 Saint Sixes were designed for NASCAR's compact class series that they were running in the 1960-61 time period. You go later on, the Max Wedges, clearly, aimed at super stock racing. The 2% cars, a cheat. They altered the wheelbase 2% because that's what you can get away with for NHRA super stock racing. The altered wheelbase cars, the birth of the funny car. Chrysler invented the funny car. Move the front wheels all the way forward, move the back wheels all the way forward, light and acid dip, lightweight windows, all that stuff, right? And look what became of that. It's a funny car. Super stock, the Hemi darts and Hemi Cudas redefined what for years. The only cars that fit super stock A and super stock AA were Hemi darts and Barracudas. Nothing else could run with them. And now they have their own Hemi specific, Hemi A-body class. I know I'm skipping over so many different packages, but I'm just getting to the highlights. So you had the A12 cars focused towards the street racer. Again, a form of competition, not hood stuff going on with donuts, but guys who actually go out and race each other. The A12 cars, the six-pack, the 69 six-pack Roadrunners and Super Bs. The Roadrunner and the Super B were both budget street racer cars. The Trans Ams and the AAR Cudas for Trans Am racing. The Daytona, the Charger 500 and the Charger Daytona for Daytona, for NASCAR racing. You get the general idea. All of these packages were geared at the top, right? Like we're going to dominate some form of racing, some sort of competition here. And then everything came from that. So another thing about early Chrysler or the muscle car era, that you guys use all of the names and the colors and the legacies and the trademarks and stuff like that. Well, one of the hallmarks of Mopars of the era was that they were the cars that you got the biggest bang for the buck from. They were the cheapest of them. You could spend the least amount of money and get the most amount of performance. The most valuable cars today, the most valuable Mopar collector cars today from the classic era are the ones with the least options. The guy with the radio delete plate wins. You see what I'm saying? The less stuff the car had, the more it was. This is true of the entire Mopar legacy from the beginning until, well, the end of the original muscle car era. Biggest bang for the buck. Now, you almost had me. I mean, like I'm telling you, you had me. I was that close. With the introduction of the Demon back in, what was that, 2018, I think it was? What a masterful thing that was. I watched that video, that introduction. Yeah, some of it was really bad. The animated things and monsters and stuff like that. But the part where you actually got on stage and you described the car's capabilities, and oh, that was magic. I watched, I don't even know how many times I watched that. I came that close. I was like, yes, Mopar, back on track. Dodge, back on track. This guy is cool. This guy's absolutely cool. Yeah, I mean, I was that close, okay? And then the price, then I found out what the price was, and I was like, what? It was like $85,000. I'm like, okay, for $85,000, not only can I have a 9-second car, I could probably have 2 9-second cars, or I could have a 9-second car and a down payment on a house. Why would I buy one of these cars for that? It was ridiculous. So it was, you know, spiritually, yes, it's like the fastest production car in the world. Awesome. But what a ridiculous price. That's not how Mopar worked. Mopar in the, you know, the Mopar legacy, that's not how it worked. It was, these are cheap cars. These are just, you know, rattle traps, but we're going to stick a big motor in it, good transmission, bulletproof rear end, killer suspension, and we're going to send it, right? That was the spirit of Mopar. And to this day, us Mopar faithful, and remember, we're the demographic that can afford to buy this stuff, okay? Not the people who are, you know, appeal to donuts. No, they steal those cars. We buy them. So if you're gonna continue on this path of, you know, rehashing names and images and colors and everything else, why not try to recapture some of that Mopar spirit, where we're going to go out and we're going to dominate something, a target, right? Something to shoot for. The Dark Horse Mustang. Okay, so this is one of the hot cars, probably the hottest car out there now as far as like recognition, street recognition. So it's a bottom 12-second car. The Charger with the Hurricane, you know, it's like a bottom 12-second car. How about a stripped down package of the Charger, 4,800 pounds, good, that's so heavy. You've got to be able to leave 1,000 pounds out of that thing and still have a viable car. Why not come up with a package specifically targeted against the Mustang and call it something like the Trojan horse, you know, to beat the Mustang Dark Horse. This is the kind of thing that gives you street cred, not freaking donuts, okay? This gives you street cred. Back in the day, they marketed towards where the goals were the popular forms of racing in the day. So it was NASCAR and it was NHRA drag racing. And while those things still exist today, they're irrelevant in the public's mind. But other things have come along to take their place. So, like for instance, the hottest thing today in the world of drag racing and competition is the whole no prep, the back half no prep deal. Why not come up with a package, the Charger no prep or the Charger back half, okay? And again, a lightweight, stripped down version of the car sold for a short amount of money that's specifically geared for that type of racing. And then go out and actually compete. Another idea, like for instance, I don't know how popular drifting is or if that whole fad has kind of faded off. I may be a little out of touch on this, but it seems like it was a wildly popular thing for a while. I mean, maybe something like the Charger Drifter, okay? And come up with something that's got like extra steering. You know, forget about this just wide body stuff. So how about something that's just got extra steering, quick ratio steering, maybe like a hand-operated brake that you could stick on it, you know what I mean? So that they could do the drift thing with it. Entirely possible. Easy for you to do. Bracket racing. Okay, so back in the day, there were no brackets in the 1960s and early 1970s. Everything was class racing. But today, bracket racing is the predominant form of drag racing for, you know, the average person. There's tens of thousands of bracket racers across the country. Why not come up with a package that will, and it's all done like now with software and stuff, come up with a package that'll run exactly the same number every single time, regardless of conditions, regardless of how the track changes or the weather changes or anything like that. Call it the Charger Dead Nuts, because it runs dead nuts on the number every time. I mean, okay, these are just things off the top of my head, but you get the general idea. Do a little research. What are the hot forms of competition? Geared towards those hot forms of competition, but also, like in the old days, make these things accessible to the people who will really go out and absolutely, and use them. The Demon 170 was, everybody who bought one of those cars bought it to speculate. They stuck them away. And good thing for that, because if you actually take them out and hammer them, they eat the motors. It's just what's going to happen with the ones with the Hurricane 6, because that's an overtaxed thing. Hopefully you can get the Hemi into the Charger before, let's say, more bad reputation comes along, because people eating head gaskets and turbochargers and stuff like that, because they're stepping on their Hurricanes. But regardless of that, and I guess that's for the engineering people to figure out. But from a marketing standpoint, cut it out with this embarrassing, childish hood stuff. Let's get back to the essence of Mopar. Now, win on Sunday, sell on Monday. Well, that was Ford, I think it was. But it doesn't make any difference. That was the spirit of that whole era. Pick forms of competition. Design cars specifically for, or packages specifically for those types of competition. Leave off all the frills. Leave out the sound deadener. Put rubber mats on the floor. Make these things as attainable and as basic and as analog as possible. There's another one that come up with, well, no, okay, maybe that's going too far, but I was thinking like an analog version, you know, with real gauges and stuff like that in one of these cars. That would be a selling point, believe me when I tell you. Because for somebody like me, that's a big turnoff. I don't want the screen, I want gauges. And remember, I mean real gauges. I'm the demographic. We're the guys that can afford this stuff. And we're the Mopar faithful that really want to see this thing, the current version of Chrysler, the current version of Dodge. Stellantis is, yeah, it gets all convoluted. We want to see the name brought back to the kind of stardom that it had back in the day. You have the possibility to do it. So I probably went on longer than I wanted to with this, but you get the general idea, Tim. Good luck. You got your work cut out for you. I'm pulling for you. I'm not optimistic, but I am hopeful. See you tomorrow.